It's great to see such a big turnout for the event. I know this is against Andy Bem speaking today, so it's absolutely fantastic to see such enthusiasm as we've seen all day. So by means of introduction, I'm James Coe and I sit on the policy board for the People's Powerhouse. And I'm just going to do 2 minutes of housekeeping before we get started. So first of all, welcome to the People's Powerhouse 4th annual convention. And the aim of this is to give people across the North a bigger say of the future direction of our region. As I've said in every session up till now, I'm a proud professional Northerner from Darlington and live in Liverpool now. And it's through sessions like this, through talking to each other and exploring new ideas, that I think we reclaim a sense of input over the challenges we face as a country with the North at its heart. In terms of housekeeping, if you are using Twitter, if you could please use the hashtag #ThisIsTheNorth. If all attendees could please mute unless you are speaking, and if you could please use the chat function to ask any questions and get involved in the session. In the unlikely event that the session is Zoom bombed, i.e. someone gains entrance who should not, the session will end and we'll reissue a link to all attendees. This session is being recorded, and so if you don't want to appear on the recording, please turn your camera off. And if you have any specific questions about this, please email to people@peoplespowerhouse.org.uk. Most importantly, we are absolutely delighted to be hosting the workshop today. And I will now pass over to my colleagues to talk about the activation film screening and presentation with Fran and the Turnpike. Thanks very much.
Before we hand over to Fran and Helen, I'd just like to say a big welcome on behalf of Rule of Threes. We've been invited to produce the arts programme for this year's People's Powerhouse Convention, and we've named it We Are the North. This year's arts programme responds creatively to the themes of the convention, which are fairness, justice and resilience. And we've brought together some of the best and most brilliant creative voices in the North and to sort of share stories and engage you in activities that prove how powerful the arts can be when they're actually produced with people in communities. So yeah, so now I'll hand over to Helen Stalker, who is the director of Turnpike, and also Frances Disley, who's an artist.
Thanks very much, and thanks for the invitation as well. It's really brilliant to be part of this this whole process, and really pleased to be here today just as we've completed the project actually, so it's very prescient. I'm here with Fran, obviously, as you've said, and myself and Fran will have a conversation in a little while about the processes throughout that project, and Fallen Angels are also with us today, so, and it is definitely scope and room for people to ask questions, and we'd be more than happy to answer them as we go through. We're going to start first of all, technology permitting, with a short film, which is a little behind the scenes. It's a very kind of a small insight really into a project that's been running since last year, and it's survived a few bubbles and tears and you know, lockdowns, but we've emerged, and we actually completed the film yesterday, so we're really pleased to be able to share this with you today. We're gonna show you that film, and then we're gonna have a conversation, like I say, and then we're actually going to show you the final piece, which is about 16 minutes long. Just to give you a little bit of insight before we do hear from people in the film, Fallen Angels are a fantastic organisation who've been coming to the Turnpike every week, and they're an organisation who work with people in recovery from addiction and adversity through the medium of dance. So they're long-term friends of ours, and we connected them up to Fran, like I say, last year, and they produced something really very beautiful together. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Just bear with me.
Faye, do you want to stop screen sharing?
Oh, great. Sorry. There we go.
Okay. I can't share.
Do you... Debbie, is Helen a co-host?
Yeah, for some reason my Zoom doesn't give me an I've given someone my host, so I'm staring at my screen. But is it the presentation that I have access to, Faye? Can I share it?
Yes, the link should be on that, Debbie. So
yeah, okay. I will do that. I will share. I will be your presenter.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, just bear with me. And I will screen share. Okay. Host disabled screening.
Hold on, Helen, can you try now?
Yep, there we go. Thank you. Okay, right. Can anybody see that presentation?
Yep, that looks beautiful.
Fabulous. Okay, good. Now we're nearly there. Gotta love this, haven't you? Okay, slideshow. All right, just here's the film. I hope.
It's one of the most exciting projects.
No audio.
Helen, yeah, you need.
Merge between.
Sorry, was there no audio on that?
No, if you could try. Yeah, thank you, Helen.
One of the most exciting projects I've ever done with the Fallen Angels. I've been a Fallen Angel for 6 years. It means that much to me. It's the first time I've ever done a project like this. Now, a year later, it means the absolute world to me to do something new with the Fallen Angels and to have a collaboration with Fran, who's amazing as well. You know, Fran just really creates this merge between art, theatre and dance. It just all comes together. It just kind of gets amalgamated together. It's great.
It's been amazing, actually, because it's the first time we've worked with somebody like Fran, but it's the first time we've actually been immersive in somebody's art.
So I've been working on this project at Turnpike Gallery with Fallen Angels Dance Company. My idea was to come and enhance the sessions that already existed, and then through that we've developed a choreography for a dance piece, and it's kind of like a installation dance. So the dance floor is a large painting which acts as a kind of score for the dancers. The dancers use props and objects, and they have outfits that all become part of this big live painting.
I think it's fantastic how she's done the floor. She told us all to do sort of like our moves and that. So whatever move we did, that's where all the lines come, and the clothes are just fabulous.
Fran's done this massive sort of piece that goes on the floor that's colour coordinated, and originally I think the dance movement informed the squiggles, but then that sort of like reversed and went the other way on, so that the shapes informed our dance movement further.
The visuals of it, awesome. I mean, when I first came in, I was like, what's this? And I was like, we're in the Turnpike. And I was like, wow, costumes are cool. I love my pink pants and mint. I won't go out in the street on them, but it feels good to be able to wear them. A bit of Snoop Dogg going on here. You know what I mean?
Working with different sort of things like ribbons and those foil blankets. You know, I was really impressed with how much variation, how many things you could do with them, from waves into being like sort of jellyfish underneath it. And, you know, I think it's just very versatile, and like just the colour, the shimmery, the effect of it on screen. It's really quite beautiful.
It's been
like quite miraculous seeing the transition from some people, because they'll come in like the body language is like that, the head's literally, and then they'll start to do the movement and the breath and the creativity, and all of a sudden they'll start to open up.
Just to be doing this means you've got something to look forward to. So it's a motivation, and you'll find some sort of inner self in yourself, and you'll feel a lot better after it, and you'll want more.
I feel like I'm part of something more when I come here, which makes me feel more connected to my life outside of here. It has like a knock-on effect. I seem more positive, more brighter, and a bit more focused and positive on getting involved. I want to get into the stream of life more.
This is like the first time in 6 years I've seen a proper piece through to the end. Push myself with boundaries every day of these intense days, especially today. I really did want to quit. But if you're an angel, you don't quit because you don't need to. You've got supporters there.
Okay. Woo. Did everybody see that all right? Great. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. That was good.
Super. Okay, so I think me and Fran, if we just kind of talk through our experience, like I say, obviously there's fallen angels here as well, and then sorry, something breathing away. Just bear with me. Yeah. So, Fran, hi. So I think it would be good just to maybe set the tone a little bit, do you, in terms of how this has come about, and then maybe think about, if we talk about the kind of challenges that we faced along the way, and yourself face, and obviously the kind of collective team through lockdown, and how that maybe played a role in the kind of evolution of the piece itself. So I think we were so lucky to be working with you, Fran, actually, when this happened, and with Fallen Angels when this happened, because as an organisation, obviously, we've had to have a really kind of in-depth think and reevaluation about our role, particularly when lockdown first hit at the beginning of the year. And we're kind of midway through this project, and it was brilliant that you've all kind of come on this journey with us and really informed us as an organisation through that shift as well, because I know in the timeline of this process, we've had one manifestation before lockdown in March, and then people were kind of reconvening throughout lockdown via Zoom and in public parks and things, and then it's evolved into the final piece, which we'll show at the end. But yeah, maybe what did you?
Yeah, because we'd been working on this. I mean, we were supposed to realise it in kind of June this year, weren't we? And that was supposed to be including a live performance as well, which was, you know, not possible given what was going on. But we just kind of, we shifted and adapted everything. So like like Helen said, we'd worked on this last year, and we'd had an intensive session with everyone from the group. Oh, sorry, members of the group. We had a week where we came together to try and develop. So this image is the kind of start of things. So just to describe like how it all began. So Helen invited me to come and work with Fallen Angels because she was interested in my practice, and there just seemed to be a link. And I came and met the group, and we needed and kind of needed to know on both sides whether it was going to work, and had a good chat to Paul, who runs Fallen Angels, and there seemed to be, and I just observed what everyone was doing really, and just thought that it was amazing, this group of people that come together every Friday and dance, and it's just such a super positive thing. Like I was thinking, what can I do to actually add to this or enhance this, you know, because it's doing this amazing thing anyway. So I came along and started to, I was thinking about like, yeah, additions to what missing. So I kind of brought these visual props and like started to mark out some of the movement on the floor, and I was observing them and interacting, and the props became like catalysts for movement on the day. And through a series of sessions, we kind of decided on a few short choreographies that we then move forward to this intensive week. and like, as a base to all of this, I was developing this idea of a dance floor that could actually help the performance and help the dancers. So out of the tracking of the movement, I was thinking about like lines that were repeated, because there's lots of like diagonal movements in warm-ups that everybody would do. And there's markings within the piece. And this all kind of took place before the first lockdown happened. So in the center, there's a circular marking that represents, at the start of every session, everybody does a little check-in. So everyone just kind of updates on where they're up to. And that just seemed like a really important part of what the group did every Friday. Everyone keep it short, just check where everyone's up to, and then you get moving. And then there's something like in the corner, there's a yellow area, and we decided at the beginning that if you kind of get lost in the choreography at any point, that was a location that you could go to signal to the rest of the group that you wanted to be brought back in. And then there's all those kind of things. And then we had this week where we worked collaboratively to develop a series of sections that made up a piece. And then, like Helen said, we were supposed to come back together, perform it and film it, and then lockdown happened. And this is the intensive week from last year. And an important part of that as well, the dancers, who are lots of here today, like performing live. So we integrated a live, an open moment on the majority of days. So it's kind of like at 12 o'clock every day, the public can come in and we'll perform something for 10 minutes. So you show in the work in a state of flux and in a kind of moment of development. And then we're around it this year, and then we moved on to Zoom, and carried on trying to develop and revisit the piece and just kind of stay energized as well. I mean, like the Zoom meetings, really, Zoom is a really hard thing to kind of communicate across and engage with, but it's vital for the group and the performers to stay connected and keep moving. But we did this, and we took on board, we decided to use the restrictions when we came back together as kind of like a device or an extra layer in the choreography as well. So we decided to not see it as a negative, but just kind of see it as like a new rule in the game.
And the piece had kind of evolved over, or the approach to the piece is an evolution of your kind of practice, isn't it? Because for quite some time now, you've been working with dance, movement, kind of self-care, sound. So it was a kind of a development in process. And I think, you know, from what I could see, the connection that was made at the gallery with Fallen Angels was just a kind of catalyst for a whole new approach. And then there were disruptions, as we know, there were disruptions along that timeline, but I think you all kind of embraced those potential hurdles. And, you know, I think this is what everybody seems to do, particularly around Fallen Angels, is to push through that adversity, through just keep engaging, keep moving. And I think, you know, like you've just said, the elements of kind of play in a way that you brought in, which was around those lockdown restrictions, was a real kind of testament and document of the time that we all kind of are currently living through. So, you know, as a commissioner, I suppose for me, it's a fantastic document of pushing through those moments to produce something really positive.
Yeah, and I think like keeping it kind of live, and I think I said to you at the beginning, you know, like if through it we could develop a way of working that's really, really genuinely flexible and sympathetic to people's situations, and then that, like, if we're developing a model or a way of working that can do that, and I think that's a really hard ask, then that's like a super win out of it. Obviously didn't expect this to be one of the, you know, such an extreme kind of test, but like early days we'd said, you know, like the open week, that if the group couldn't make it for the whole week, that we would shift it every week to embrace a shift in the group that we're performing. And I think that's, like, especially in dance and performance, there's so much expectation for you to be on at a certain time for a certain amount of days, and that's just doesn't, like, that's just doesn't work for everyone. And I love the idea that you can totally kind of contradict that and work in it, you know, work in a different way. That, like, we all have different things that make, you know, that kind of put pressure on our time. So I think trying to remove all of those anxieties that actually can be quite unnecessary and don't necessarily, you know, the audience doesn't require them, I think is really kind of interesting to me.
I'm wondering if this is a bigger change across making that might now occur through the kind of flux that we've all experienced. I know organisationally we decided really early on, kind of in March, and also our hand was kind of forced through the suspension of Arts Council project grants, because that's what we completely rely on for our exhibitions programme. But actually trying to find a positive from that is the decision that we made to suspend the scheduled exhibition programme for the next 18 months and instead turn ourselves into a live kind of laboratory, in a way, a kind of live testing ground for artist innovation and community innovation, more importantly, as importantly, around kind of developing work towards positive social impact. And I think what this piece has done is actually given us permission to be that playful and experimental, and has really kind of driven forward a new approach for us as a commissioning organisation, as an exhibiting organisation, if you like. And I'm wondering if this is, I know not everybody's in the same position because we are completely independent and very small, and therefore quite agile and responsive, if kind of precarious, and able to do these things. And I'm wondering whether I'd be interested to kind of open that out as well across the sector, about whether this is a way that people are now reflecting on how they make work and commission work and show work, or whether, you know, they'll go back to the kind of schedule, that kind of perpetual showcasing exhibition schedule that was prior to lockdown, I suppose.
Yeah, it's been so nice to kind of to change the relationship with the gallery as being this kind of, like, all of the energy and the kind of the play and the making happens elsewhere, and then suddenly it's you know, the end result is presented, and it kind of, yeah, I think it feels like it's just an amazing use of the space, you know, like, because you'd originally programmed it to be kind of in between the gallery program as a way to kind of just energize and utilize the space, and that felt amazing, you know, like, because the space, the work flexed to the space and responded to the space, you know, and evolved, you know, so it was perfectly situated in there when it kind of came to be. And I think, yeah, because I think that whole idea that lots of people have just kind of frozen the program, and then suddenly it's all just getting shunted to us. And I know, like, people's situations are different in different spaces, but it feels like it's just a really good use of the space, and working over this slow period has been really, really positive for me. You know, like, you've always had the flexibility to present it when it's ready as well, which is something that never really takes place, but we've had, like, the time to grow the work over a really long period, and that feels that I mean, for me, it's all the richer as a response to that. You know, it's really kind of it's kind of really emotive because of the energy that's been put into it over a long period, and it gives you the the room to listen as well, because, you know, me and Paul co-choreographed it, but in reality, with the, you know, the dancers contributed so much to the choreography, and it's that kind of time of flexibility that gives you the chance to listen in a way that's not pressured, so you're not like, oh, we've, you know, this is got to be on now. So
yeah, it's the idea, I suppose, of the collective, isn't it? And I think that's one of the things that organisationally we're really learning the massive value that comes from that collective work, in that kind of reciprocity, that exchange of ideas. I think that's the one thing that we've really missed, is those chance encounters and dialogues that happen creatively when everybody is kind of together. And so, you know, I can see the real magic of the collective through this project, and through the way that you've kind of all brought something to that. And I think, you know, one of the reasons why we wanted to activate the space in this way, and like you say, before it was between exhibitions, but now actually it's kind of been handed over to this active program, is that organisationally we learn so much from that. Having people around, we learn so much. Having artists in residence, having kind of, you know, people come in and connect and engage and make work, we get so much from it as well, and there's a real joy to that. And I think you know, I think that there's a lot of learning that organisations can do in terms of having that happen in their spaces. So I think definitely that the idea of the collective is something that's you know, we obviously embrace, but we've obviously learned a lot from through this project as well. And that seems to be something that you do a lot, that kind of collaboration, learning from each other.
Yeah, I think there were a few kind of catalysts where I just learned from collaboration that I don't want to work in isolation on my own anymore. I kind of like, I think that like the kind of uncertainty of producing something in isolation and the anxiety is just toxic and unnecessary for me. I kind of like, you know, you kind of like previously worked to a point and then present something to the public, having, you know, like had no kind of input. And also, like, when we came together, I had no idea what we were going to make, which feels quite nerve-wracking, but totally trusting that process now. And that can be unsettling for the people that you're collaborating with as well. But I think, like, I really enjoy allowing the room to respond to what happens through the dynamic of us coming together. So,
and that's about trust, isn't it? That's kind of about is that absolute faith in kind of, you know, from our perspective. So through when lockdown first hit, we got a bit of emergency money, and we put that in the hands of artists to develop work however they saw fit. And we trusted them to do that, and it's the same with yourself and with all the dancers who were involved in the choreography that happened. It was about, you know, it's about allowing that play and that experimentation and trusting that something great will come through from that. And I think trust is absolutely key and vital if we're going to take away those kind of, you know, quite imposing expectations and restrictions and focus on the outcomes. You know, take that away and allow the process, learn from the process, learn from the healing that happens through that process, the making that happens through that process, rather than fixating on the end result, which I know, you know, I've done that for decades, you know, 20 years of kind of exhibition making and commissioning, and, you know, what's the end result? And so, you know, to actually learn from, you know, what leads up to that point, that's the really interesting part for me at the moment as well.
Yeah, like the public points are just kind of like moments of like an opening up. I think is a really nice thing, because this, like, I mean, this piece could go on for years and years in reality. So it's nice that it's just kind of like we've just hit on this point and documented it at this point. Yeah.
Shall we play the film and then if there's any, is that okay, Debbie? Shall we?
Yeah, no, definitely. How do Fallen Angels want to? I believe there's some dancers from Fallen Angels here. Would you like to say anything before we show the film? silence?
They haven't seen the film yet, so they might want to see.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Okay.
So, okay, right. I'm
Play
going
the
to
film.
give this a whirl. Just bear with me again.
Yeah.
Well done, you guys.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
congratulations, everyone. Yeah, so we're really happy to take any questions or obviously open up the conversation with everybody else in the room.
I think we had a question from Margaret, which is, I don't know if Margaret wants to come off.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Just first of all, congratulations. The work looks absolutely amazing on so many different levels. But I wondered, as I had some intermittent sound as I was watching the film, the piece, but I was just wondering about the relationship between the soundtrack and how the dance evolved, or, you know, whether that, just how that happened, which led which, or did they swap, you know, in that role of sometimes perhaps did the sound lead or inform the movements, and at other times then the other way around, or just what was that relationship between the sound and the dance?
Fran?
Yeah, so it was an interesting situation because we used existing sound last year to kind of work with, but I developed a soundtrack to this this year. So the soundtrack is made to fit the choreography, which is a real luxury and is never the direction that things happen. So I could, because I've worked with other producers before, and found it frustrating. Like it felt really nice to be able to embed the prompts in the soundtrack. So the soundtrack, like, and even there's things like, so there's a Vimeo link as well if you want to listen back to the video. Anyone, you know, if you're struggling with sound and stuff. So there's kind of like at the beginning I put a treadmill in because that was kind of part of the narrative of the first section. So we put like a treadmill and like spinning bikes and things like that in it. And then there's like there were things like chimes and like dispersible tablets to kind of prompt for people to move. So it's kind of like, and then you know, it will have impacted on the dance again when we revisited, but it was really nice to be able to develop the soundtrack and be able to embed in it all the things that would be useful for the choreography that I already knew existed. It was the first time I've done that as well, so it was quite nerve-wracking because I think I got away with it in the first session with all the dancers. So yeah.
No, I would love to. I will check out the link because it just kept breaking down for me when I was listening to it. But I was really interested in the sounds that were in it, and they were sort of like a script in a way. It sort of struck me as a sort of a audio script in a sense. But yeah, thank you. I will check out the link. Thank you. It's a super work. Well done.
Cheers.
We should say really that this is a bit of a sneak preview of the film's going to be launched on Monday via our website, which is turnpike.org.uk. So you'll be able to get a proper view of it from from your own laptop. And then hopefully I've not spoken to Fallen Angels about this, but hopefully we'll get to perform live as well for later in the year. So we'll keep you posted on that as well. So yeah.
Great, that's super. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a question, if that's okay.
Of course.
I know earlier you were talking about relationships and how you've activated the space. And I think this is a question for Fallen Angels and the dancers who I noticed, I think it was Amanda, you even had pink hair that kind of matched. But how do you feel the process of working with Fran and the Turnpike? How has that kind of impacted you and, you know, as dancers, as people? I'm just really interested.
I'll answer that if you want. Okay, Amanda first.
Yeah. No, it was fantastic working with Fran and that. Like, it was a new concept of it all, using the props and everything. So yeah, I really enjoyed it because it's normally sort of like is it opera music and stuff like that, what we dance to and that, and we get deep into our thoughts and everything. But to come out of our comfort zone and work with props, and sort of like Fran said, the music's not actually music, it's sounds of sort of like props what you use at home and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very good.
exciting times it was. And they always have pink cakes. I can't bother colouring it at the moment. Over to Phil.
Okay, I'll just say a few words. I might be going off script here with the question you asked, but it's something like I feel like I just want to say anyway. It's about Fran and her relationship with the fallen angels. Not many people know this, but when Expressions Lead, the group you've just seen, when we actually started out, we was in different buildings. There was only a few members, and we was in different buildings. At one point, we was like actually having a workshop in something no bigger than the size of a broom cupboard. Honestly, you could touch both floors where we started, and then by the grace of God, we ended up at the Turnpike. Helen Stalker has been absolutely magnificent with us. They've accommodated us all the way, even throughout the corona, the lockdown, the pressure, the strain it puts on us all having different views about it. They dealt with that magnificently. I can't hear anybody.
No, I can hear. We can hear you.
Hey, Phil, we can hear you, mate. I know it's a bit hot, but
Hiya, Ben.
Carry on, you're doing well.
Thank you. And I just carry on and quickly finish, give the others a chance to speak. What the Fallen Angels means to me is I suffer not just with alcohol and drug recovery. I also have a few different mental illnesses that I'm on medication for. And for 6 days of the week, I don't leave the house, and my anxiety is that bad. I'm a prisoner. I have been for even before joining the Fallen Angels. But that 1 day a week, normally on a Friday, that 1 day a week, I go to the Fallen Angels, and it's just like it's. I can't explain it in words. It just relieves the pressure. But then, just 2 hours a week, I'm not a prisoner in my own head. I get out of my own body, literally, and I just dance my soul out, and it's such a great release for somebody who suffers with a lot of different things. The Fallen Angels give me that release 2 hours a week. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody for that. Cool.
You were incredible on that dance floor, you know.
Yeah, both of you are amazing.
Yeah.
That's down to Paul and Claire's good teaching, that.
Does anyone have any more questions before we round up? It's getting close to 4 o'clock now. So, yeah. I'd just like to say thank you so much, Fran and Helen and all the people from Fallen Angels, for sharing that lovely, beautiful film with us. It's it's so great to watch it and see all that work come together, and like the movement and props. It was just fantastic. So thank you.
It's a pleasure, and thanks to everyone who was involved. You're amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, guys, I'd like to come in. I think Paul asked me to say a few words, and I'd love to, because what a wonderful project to be involved in. I've been involved in the Fallen Angels, and I'd identify as a fallen angel. You know, it's been an amazing journey for me over the last 8 to 9 years, watching Paul's movement and art, dance, and theatre come together and really grow into this arm which reaches into communities and really gives people a medium to live through their issues. You know, I suffered with major issues when I first came around Fallen Angels, but I'm happy to say that I'm an overcomer today, and still able to come back to Fallen Angels both as a professional and a participant. And watching that film back was extremely interesting, because you never quite contemplate really what's going on when you're so in the moment, and it really begs that question: is it art manipulating reality, or is it reality manipulating art? And what's really propelling and inspiring the dance, the movement, the art, and the music and the theatre that goes with it? what is the driving force there. But I can say that, you know, watching Paul work as an individual and then seeing Fran come along really brings this this amazing element and kind of spiritual architecture really comes through the performance. There's a great amount of spirituality involved in this, and mindfulness and philosophy, and for me personally, allowing myself to let go. I'm not really a dancer yet. Being able to experience a space where I'm able to manipulate my body and move to you know, towards this kind of Fallen Angels rhythm is a really cool experience, as it is for me and as it is for everybody else. It has such a lasting power and a lasting drive in every individual, and it's just great, Paul. It's great to see you in action again, and it's great to work alongside you and be part of that work as well. So, and Fran, peace out. Claire, I know you work tirelessly behind the scenes as well. Let's not forget Claire. She's the oil which keeps the cogs moving, right, Claire? You know. So I know. Right, I'll leave it. Nice one.
What lovely words to end on. Thank you ever so much.